But there are 5 big mistakes, and actually you know all about them already. Look, I'm so excited because you know the first one, strategy maps, you know all of that. A lot of organisations fail to do that. And why? When they fail to do that, what's their big mistake? The big mistake is they actually lose the G in the GOAL. Remember the goal? They actually lose that chance to develop the culture of the organisation. All right. Number 2, then they lose the chance to actually provide a framework for finding measures. Remember you did that with the Maxim's Cafe? You remember you did that with a coffee shop? Remember the first step was, let's find a strategy. Second step, oh, let's put some measures on the strategy that we think work. Are you with me here? This is step 1, step 2. But a lot of organisations say, oh, let's not worry about that. You know, we're just serving coffee. It's not worried about, we're not worried about if there's a particular value chain associated with a customer experience or the best coffee or the efficient operation, all right? We just throw them all together and now let's just think of measures. You can imagine the problems. Look at all the measures that we came up with for that coffee shop, okay? But once we all agree that, oh, we want to emphasize this very clearly, then we could actually start measuring that to really get some excitement about how that strategy is going. You with me here? All right. So a lot of companies fail to do that. Well, next they fail to validate the links. Validate the links. Aha, you know that. We already did that in chapter 4. Remember chapter 4? Remember the Hilton Hotel example? Do you remember the... I think you remember that. Validating the links. You remember that because the Hilton Hotel example was a great example where some professors, one of them from Cornell University, they looked at the sensitivity, all right? And the book says accuracy, just to make sure we don't have any misunderstanding here. And then here is reliability, right? Reliability, what do we mean? We hit the same point again, okay? Here, we're actually trying to hit exactly what we really want, okay? But may not be the same place all the time. You with me on that? And what the big problem with this type of measure was that we did not, what? We did not believe the measure. Why? Oh, because in chapter 5, what happened in chapter 5? Not behavioural displacement, not control, not costs of implementing controls, okay? Not excess slack. What was it? It was gamesmanship, okay? Any element of gamesmanship, then you actually lose total confidence with the whole measurement. You don't trust the person that's doing the measuring, right? So you didn't believe in the measure. Here you believed in the measure, but you didn't feel that your role in the organisation was connected to the output. So you didn't feel that you can influence, remember? And so that's what we did in chapter 4, was show you that, well, hang on, we can make a linkage between belief and influence by saying that this is a lead indicator of that. And so now this one you don't believe, and now you do believe because you know it's going to be related to that in the future. And this one that you don't influence, now you feel you do influence because in the meantime you can influence this measure here. Okay, it's kind of like you can influence this measure of customer satisfaction and you believe in this measure. Why? Because you know it's related to a future accounting sales. Remember? So the hotel customers, when they're more satisfied, when they're more likely to recommend other customers come back, the professors got all the data and found that, oh, 6 months later, 12 months later, oh, that was related to increased sales. So as that varied, the future sales result varied. That's what we mean by validating the links. And so we've already done that, right? So you know that that's a big mistake that companies made. So you know what we're doing. Okay, next. And do we know that for sure? Well, 23% of companies surveyed in this report do it. And guess what? Those 23%, They had higher ROA, higher return on equity. Now we've got chapter 10. So far we've done chapter 4, we've done chapter 5. Now we've got chapter 10. We've got concepts coming out of this book, left, right and centre. All right, so we've got these measures here coming up to just show that there's a difference between companies that do validate the links and those that do not validate the links. All right, let's go on to the next one. Avoid overload. I love this one. I actually love this one because my friend Rafe Lawson from USA, he did a survey with his colleagues of lots of companies around the world, and big question, how many measures do you track? How many measures do you have? And some of them said, well, 500 to 1,000. Do I believe that? Oh, more than 1,000. Wow. I wonder how many of them are outputs and inputs and process. Can you imagine the confusion going on there, right? All right. So the big question I have for you is, this is your next job. This is your next job because one of you, maybe more of you, how many of you want to work in an accounting firm? I didn't think so. Okay, so there's another type of job that you could work for, and that is a bank. You could be a customer service officer. What do you think of that? Right, so here's a real bank, real customer service officer. They used to call them tellers, bank tellers. But, you know, you don't want to be saying, oh, I'm a teller. Oh, what are you? I'm an investment banker. Yeah, all right. But no, but now it's, oh, I'm not a teller. I get promoted to customer service officer. Oh, great. But I still have to sit behind the bench and give money out to the customers and take their money. All right. And so you can imagine, when was the last time you went to a customer service officer in a bank in the last 12 months? Anyone? You've been, okay. So can you imagine that, you know, they've got in the back of their mind, they've got to meet all of these 15 items when they're actually serving you. Okay, satisfied. Do I make you feel like they appreciate your business? Appreciate your business. Come again. We love you. Okay. Process your transaction quickly. Have the ability to handle your request. Wait time acceptable. Okay. One of my students from last year did an internship in Hong Kong, and I asked her over the summer break, oh, what's the big difference between Singapore and Hong Kong? He said, oh, the similarity is that we've got queues in Singapore. We also have queues in Hong Kong, but the queues in Hong Kong go 4 times faster than in Singapore. All right, it's very interesting. All right, so that was one perception of differences between Hong Kong and Singapore. All right, so address you by your name, give you his or her undivided attention, okay, not playing their iPhone while they're actually serving you, all right? And so there's a lot. All right, here's a big question for you very, very quickly, all right? Just think, you're this teller. How many of you want to work for a bank like that that has 15 items to evaluate your performance? How would you feel? Put your hand up if you feel a bit under pressure here. A little bit, yeah, I didn't see that, right? Okay, well, get used to it, okay? A lot of organisations are starting to measure more and more and more. All right, now, here's the real stuff, okay? So this bank brought in the consultants to make the measures better, all right? So here's the big question I have for you. Is this the result of the consultants' intervention, or was this a problem that the consultants were faced with and then they were asked to actually make even a smaller number of measures? Put your hand up for the second result. That is, this is what this is before the consultants. Okay? The other scenario is this is a result of what the consultants did. In other words, before this they had even more measures. Hands up who believe that there was more measures than this. Okay? Hands up who think that the consultants came in after this and actually made it better. Not many of you. Okay, the first scenario is correct. There were more measures. How many more? 15. Hands up for 20. Hands up for 20 measures. Let's have a guess here. Come on, I want you all participating. All right, you're here at this auction. Do we have 20? Do we have 20? 20? We've got 20. You moved your hand. There's 20, 20. All right. Do we have 25? Anyone for 25? CK, you just moved your hand. There's 25, 25, 20. 26, 20, 30, 30, 30, 30. We've got 30 here. 30 here, 40, 40, 40, 40. Anyone here? 40, 50, 50, 50, 50, 60, 60, 60, 60, 70, 70, 70, 80, 80, 90, 90. Okay, that's very quick. That's how auctioneers work. So when you're at an auction, just keep your hands behind your back, okay? All right, it's very easy, all right? So, true case, there were 90 measures, 90. Then the consultants came in and then they came up with these 15. All right? So, long story short, fatal mistake, a lot of companies, too many measures. All right? Here's me teaching you how to do measures. I'm saying don't have too many. All right? Anyone that comes to you and wants to have more measures, just try and work on what is your big decision, what is one measure that will help make that decision better. That's all you have to do. That's the best advice you can give. All right, right targets, you know that. Wow, look at this, we're going through the whole textbook. Chapter 8. You know that. Isn't it amazing? And mistakes that companies make are all in the chapters that we've covered this semester. Wow, it's like a mini summary. So you've seen this before, happy versus focused. You know that, all right? So you know about target, and you know about insurance companies. You know the problem that they make here. What's the big problem? Well, here's the situation for companies with lots of customers. Invariably, 10 or 15% of the customers are unprofitable. That is, they cause a lot of time. They ring up, they complain a lot. They don't buy very much, but they're a customer, okay? And what insurance companies do, and one of my friends works for a large company, they do analytics in Melbourne, and they get all the customer base to find out what are the demographics of the customers that are profitable, what are the demographics of the customers that are unprofitable. And so they want to have that feed forward into the future sales process to try and avoid these type of customers and to spend more time looking after these customers. Okay, because this is the future. That's not the future. These customers here, they're unprofitable. All right. So FedEx learnt about that too, and they sent a letter out to their small business customers over 10 years ago and said, "Oh, we're going to charge you a $100 fee or minimum $100 fee for shipments." And so, what did small businesses say? Well, we're not going to do business with you. FedEx said, "Okay, that's okay." And guess what? FedEx profits went up or down? Went up, of course, because they lost their unprofitable customers. Okay, so big point here. When it comes to target setting, all right, it's not about making 100% customers happy. It's about making just 80%, because you will go out of business trying to make that last 20% happy. Okay, so let's be very business savvy here. Finally, measurement, weighting and updating. Short story for that. HTC, when they're measuring their suppliers, it's in the case study we did with the Harvard Business School. They have different weights for 5 measures, TDQSC. Okay, technology 8%, service 7%, quality 30%, 25% delivery, 20% on cost. I think that adds up to 100%. But notice different weights on each. Quality is very high. Technology and service very, very low. They're different weights. So it's not about having the same weight on every measure. So getting that weights right is very, very important. And updating. The problem is sometimes some measures are updated every week, some measures are updated every month, some measures are updated every 6 months, and then at any one time the whole system's out of balance because they're not always up to date at the same time. Okay, because 5 months down the track, those 6 monthly updated measures are 5 months old. You with me here? You see? And so you get a bit of out of sync. You know, the balanced scorecard is the notion of balance, but they become imbalance. So there you are. There's my five mistakes in 7.5 minutes.